Hello everyone and welcome back to the TFT Galaxies Championship. We have just finished the first 3 games of the second lobby. We've seen 16 tacticians enter, 4 are moving on to day 2, and right now with these final 2 games we're going to find out who the final 4 that will be joining them will be. I'm Ovely, and allow me to reintroduce to you the casters that we have here today. Of course, joining me we have Latigris, Crowan, and that's Primal. Guys, this has been a long day of TFT, and yet almost every single moment has still just been so freaking exciting. Latigris, I'm gonna come to you first. JUANZI, what? How do you just keep winning, man?
Yeah, it's pretty insane getting first place for 3 consecutive games. And I think the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is if you look at what Volterix was able to do in the first lobby of the day to get to be the #1 person with the most points, he had a lot of versatility. We talked about adaptation and how being able to have those kind of intricate choices will make a difference in your performance. And then here comes JUANZI bringing out things we haven't seen all day for the first time. Whitrock doing a great job of kind of breaking down his perfect pivot points too. So if you're looking for that textbook type of play, there it is.
Now, Crowan, I heard you and Becca talking about it. Some of the casters were talking about it as well. Mismatched Socks. You know, trying to keep his strategy a mystery to all of us. But what do you think's going through his head right now? He's the sole remaining NA representative, and he needs to start racking up points if he wants to move on to day 2.
Yeah, I believe he's 5th in the standings currently, so if he plays well next couple of games, he should be okay to make it. But there's a lot of pressure right now. Like, this is what all comes down to, nearing the end of the day. Need to really, go the comps you're comfortable with. Maybe we'll see Socks default back to Blade Masters, as he hasn't played too much. He did play that last game, but was trying to play some Star Guardians earlier. Just needs to clean up, take a deep breath and make sure these next couple of games are at least top 4s, if not better.
Yeah, I really have to have your fingers crossed for that. But Primal, what's really stood out to you the most looking at this second lobby now that we've got the first 3 games for them out of the way?
China. China has stood out.
China?
They're really good. Yeah, just China. That's what's standing out to me. Not only did we see JUANZI win, 3 lobbies in a row, ALPHAGO got 2 of those lobbies. The only person he lost to is JUANZI. And then in another lobby didn't do so well. But overall, the dominance of these 2 players from that region is pretty impressive to me. And I think they're showing that they're a force on the international stage.
Definitely. Well, let's see if JUANZI can make it a 4-peat. We're getting into the 4th game of the second lobby. Casters, take it away.
I'm sure it would be a wonderful sight for fans of China to see one of the representatives take away every single game here today. But as difficult as doing so for 3 games is, doing so for 4, let alone 5, is just that much harder. Hey, Primal, you weren't here with us the last game. How you feeling going into game number 4 of this lobby?
I'm feeling excited and blown away. I'm actually super excited to watch JUANZI more because it's rare that you see a player who can be this dominant and do it amongst the best players in the world. And he's dominant in a different way than I think Volterix is, which is interesting. Volterix was more creative and flexible. Like, he was putting together comps that don't really have a name together, like the Victor stuff and the Xerath with Thieves Glove. Whereas JUANZI's more just solid fundamentals every single game. His comps look like picture-perfect versions of what you would expect. So I'm really excited to see this guy play more.
I think we're all excited at that, and it's looking pretty good for us to get to see more of him beyond today as well. Remember, he has 24 points to his name, the lowest number of points to qualify in the first lobby being 25. Volterix grabbing 31, so there's actually not that big a difference between JUANZI and trying to get as many points possible. Just for a statement. Doesn't really matter as far as making it through, but hey, Curran, isn't it great to make that statement when you can?
It definitely is. Literally, JUANZI could go 8th these next 2 games. Not saying he will, but he could, and have more points than, I believe, 2 players from Lobby 1 who advanced into Day 2. So JUANZI coming out, making a statement. I think it was amazing to see Whitrock's analysis there, specifically on that Space Pirates game, where JUANZI pivoted, I believe it was like 7 units, almost instantaneously. That was one of the best pivots I have ever seen seen in teamfight tactics history throughout, you know, casting tournaments for the past year, playing, seeing all the great players play. That stands out. I love JUANZI. He's like so exciting for me as a, you know, person who loves TFT and loves casting it to watch.
I totally agree.
He's accumulating so many fans here today.
Right? We're all JUANZI fans today. But yeah, I think one of the cool things about that transition was the way that he did it from a mechanical perspective. You know, in addition to just being fast, he was actually using hotkeys to get his units in. So you saw him go over his bench. I assume he pressed W or whatever it is on a Chinese keyboard to get everyone in. And then he positioned everyone appropriately. So yeah, this shows you those little edges and how he even places his units different than most players make a big difference in the long term. But interesting to see a jeweled gauntlet slam. What do you think of that, Crone? Because usually I would look to slam Ionic here, but yeah, I'm curious what you think.
Honestly, I think that's kind of not screaming pirates again, but definitely makes me think about that. Jewel Gauntlet was one of the items that JUANZI had on the Gangplank during that game. I think that Ionic Spark is what most players would do here. And you can't doubt JUANZI at this point. If he makes a decision, you have to be like, oh, I guess that's correct. So I'll be curious to see what route that does go, and if it does go into the Gangplank later.
Yeah, I do wonder what that will be going to, being that he did decide to put that on the Darius, but doesn't exactly have online that completely would be like, hey, I've got all my pirates ready to go and try and ramp this up. But maybe some potentials for him to pivot into.
Okay, I got a hot take then. This might be heresy at this point. I think that's a mistake, honestly. Right, because even if you're planning on playing Space Pirate, Ionic is super good in Space Pirate. And then you can save the glove for something a little bit more useful, like a Hand of Justice. So I think it's a little bit weird. That said, like, you know, this guy took 3 firsts at Worlds, so I'm totally willing to be proven wrong. But it's hard for me to see the correctness in this play. But let's see.
Yeah. I like
the moment you want to doubt it, you look at those 3 wins.
Yeah, I'm going to be stricken by lightning right now, I'm pretty sure. But hey, I spoke my truth.
No. I like the bold prediction there. I think that it's something that I would gravitate towards. I would think is correct. And JUANZI, you know, you can get 3 firsts and still... TFT is a game where there's always things you can improve on, and maybe that is one of them, regardless of, you know, all of other JUANZI's greatness that we've seen here. But is going to be losing a couple of rounds in the early game here. Doesn't quite have Pirates online, losing to Slooper's Syndra there, which is a very early Syndra. Going to be seeing some more of some Star Guardian action there.
Yeah, I did manage to have that early Star Guardian online, the Poppy in the front. I believe it was a 2-star Zoe, and then that Syndra with the blue buff at this point. Not too much difficulty eliminating some of the units that don't quite have itemization or level ups just yet. But JUANZI now starting to scout, see what he's going to do beyond this. Right now, he's got the Vanguard just to try and take things a little more tanky if he does suffer more losses, mitigate the HP loss as much as possible.
Yeah, and you know, I think right now he did take 2 pretty huge losses, and the thing is he's on Plunder Planet, right? So in addition to just wanting to save HP, it's really important that you kill units here. This is a good win right here for him, but you know, at this point, you know, he has a Darius pair. It looks like he's pretty hard committed to Space Pirate per the Jeweled Gauntlet. You know, I think it's going to be really important for him to keep pace with the lobby in terms of levels. Because what happens in Plunder Planet is everyone else pushes early levels, and if you fall behind, you just sort of reach a point where you're not killing anything, and it snowballs out of control. So he's going to pick up the GA, which is amazing on Darius, and that's a core item. So I think he's definitely going the Space Pirate route, and eventually, hopefully, he can turn that cloak into an Ionic. And I'm guessing, you know, to his credit, if he wanted the Rod on Darius, that would be the reason not to make Ionic Spark. So yeah, maybe this guy's like, look, I really feel good on Space Pirate. I feel comfortable making, you know, items that are maybe suboptimal when you look at every comp, but best on this particular comp.
But why though? I know it did well for him obviously earlier, but it's just such a curious thing to commit to so early, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the longer the game goes on, we'll be getting more insight into how JUANZI is going to approach the game. Checking on ALPHAGO here, we see some Cybers, some Chronos, a couple Brawlers as well. Early vibe pair. Man, we were talking about this vibe pair earlier, but ALPHAGO choosing to hang on to it. It's not going to be, you know, causing of a loss of econ or anything. So I do like this right now. Maybe selling it eventually to get econ is correct, but it's okay for now.
I think they're just picking up the
Benefit from
vibe
that
pairs to
extra
trigger
tankiness in the
Crone.
meantime.
For sure. But I think they're just trying to bait Crone at this point, right? With the vibe pairs. But, there was a bunch of question mark thingy in the lobby. I think Socks actually just got a Teemo 2 at 2-5.
Wait,
if I'm not mistaken.
Did he?
Which would be insane.
Hello, Socks?
Okay, we have to check that out.
Okay, no, is that a Teemo 1?
Oh my... No,
that's
it's
a Teemo 2,
it's
right?
Teemo 2.
Like, how does that even... Did you just
Socks,
get a triple
please?
Teemo? USA, baby. Let's go. That's... I don't even know how to react to that. I don't know if I've ever seen someone get a triple 4 cost at 3-5, but yeah, Socks is gonna if there's a game for him to take a first and bring himself back into contention, this is it.
What am I watching right now? MISMATCHEDSOCKS. He wanted to be the faker of TFT, and with RNG like that, you very well can be MISMATCHEDSOCKS. This is insane.
Right? He has a Nautilus
said,
2 also.
yo.
What is going on here?
He like hit up Faker, said, "All right, it is in the same client, you know. So what can I do to make it happy and give me what I want?" I mean, the 2-star Teemo got the tier on it already to hopefully work into a blue buff in the future. The Nautilus for keeping him around so he can actually output that damage.
Yeah.
Just slam into that 1-star
falls.
Syndra.
But
Oh,
here's the thing.
Now
Syndra's
she's gonna
kind of
ult.
insane early. Yep, and Syndra
yeah.
won.
I mean,
She
she's
has
got the
blue
Rab
buff.
and the blue buff.
Yeah, she can kind of just do whatever she wants. So a little disappointing that he high rolled this hard and wasn't able to complete the win streak, but still a good spot. He even has half of Morello's per that belt. I think I'm really hoping at this point that Socks just chooses to play Astro Sniper because I think he's a little bit closer to Astro Sniper than he is Star Guardians. But he could, you know, conceivably choose to just go Star Guardians because he does have 2 Nikos, and Bramble Vest is good on Nico. So I don't know, Crone, from this spot, what would you do?
I think rolling the Teemo 2, you kind of have to commit. Teemo is going to be the unit that's carrying you oftentimes harder than the Jhin. All you really need to do is find one Jhin, and you can probably, once you get the blue buff and the Morellos, even, you know, fast 9, and just be able to put in just such a strong overall composition. You have a Nautilus 2 frontline, you know, get some more Vanguards, keep with these snipers. It's a little bit maybe frustrating from Sox's point of view to not be able to win streak into that Terra Burster round, so you lose a bit of gold there, but you're still overall happy with this position if you are MISMATCHEDSOCKS.
Hell yeah, I would be. 90 HP to the name and a good balance of damage as well as frontline to keep yourself in it. It looks like he is deciding to pivot away from the Nico for the meantime because Nautilus, while a 2-star, could benefit from some more of that tankiness, gets the Bramble Vest on him, and all snipers over here in the right corner hoping no one's going to target just yet. Zephyr onto the Teemo.
Yeah, at this point, it's like just commit, right? Like I agree with Crone. You're so far along the Astro Sniper's path. Even if he might be a little bit more comfortable with Star Guardians, I'm not sure based on him playing at the previous games. This is just so easy from this point, and since he got a tier so early, he's likely to get a second tier, which is sort of the win condition to take a first place with it. But even without blue buff, you don't necessarily need blue buff to top 4. But if I'm Sox at this point, I'm selling everything that doesn't fit into my end comp, getting as much money as possible to find that Bard or that Gnar to commit Astro, and win streak into glory.
Yeah, no, it's a super good point to bring up. And also, like, I think an important thing to bring up is the reason that Teemo 2 has lost 2 rounds in a row at this point is because of that lack of Astro. As soon as a Gnar or Bard is found, you're going to see MISMATCHEDSOCKS be, you know, a lot stronger, and especially so once that blue buff is achieved. Already has a Last Whisper to put on a Jhin later, just has Caitlyn holding it for now. But yeah, just going back to the point that Sox is in a really good spot here. Just needs to hit a couple more power spike thresholds, and it'll just be, you know, home free sailing from there.
And luckily was able to stand strong enough for early on so that he does have a lot of that HP pool to work with. Not too worried about taking these hits now as the lobby is still pretty close all the way through, and the Astral will make a big difference. And I don't think we've seen a lot of others going for it either throughout the day, huh?
Yeah, Astro Mystic is kind of weird in that no one ever seems to prioritize it, but if you can get rolling early enough, it's a very, very snowbally build. This is the definition of getting rolling early enough when you hit a Team O2 this early. But it is a comp where, you have to be really careful with positioning. It can be kind of skill intensive to figure out, do I backline my front line so that I don't get assassinated by infiltrators? You got to think about, how do I position Karma so she's getting the shield on Teemo? So it is a comp with some pretty nuanced positioning, but I think it's actually not the worst thing in the world that Sox is not winning consistently, because that means he's more likely to be able to get his second tier, because second tier might be hard to get in this lobby overall, given that there's at least one, maybe two Star Guardian players.
Speaking of those Star Guardian players, facing off against one right now, and there was actually quite a high level of protectors that were surrounding the Syndra and the Ahri, so that they didn't have to worry about taking too much damage early, resulting in quite a victory over there for the Star Guardian Sorks. And plenty on this carousel too. One single tier for somebody to grab.
Yeah, KC Double grabbing that. KC Double was the Star Guardian player. I actually did want to take a look at KC Double in a little bit here, because during KC Double's qualifying rounds to get to this tournament, had a couple of not great placements in the first couple of games, but then really ramped it up the last three. So is this the point where KC Double is kind of, shaking off those nerves and is ready to power spike? Being contested in his composition might give a little bit more nerves there, but I'd be curious to see if he's able to stabilize and to earn some more points to get into tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think to your point, when a player goes down early in a tournament but is able to come back super strong like KC Double did in the EU qualifier, it just shows that they have a really strong mental game, and they don't tilt easily. So, he's been in this position before. He should feel like, okay, I know my game. I can play it from this point. But he does need to take, I think, probably top two at least one of those games in order to confidently advance. Right now, Sox... he picked up a sword, which I really like, because that gives him an item that he can complete for Jhin later in the game. Of course, he would have preferred a tier, but there was only one tier and there were no rods for the Morellos. So he's just looking toward later in the game and trying to set himself up for a good backline. But again, if he does not hit the blue buff, he is going to sort of run into a little bit of a wall in terms of his damage.
And to confirm with you on that, MISMATCHEDSOCKS is currently 5th in terms of points, 12 points to his name. CUPIDITAS right above at 14. So he is on that borderline to try and get himself into the top 4 to make it to tomorrow. But you got to admire the commitment here to the snipers, obviously, as a result of the Teemo. As you said, building that last Whisper on the Ashe to potentially transition onto a Jhin later on in the game if he chooses to do so. I'm also wondering, so Juan?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Tigress.
Go ahead. Well, I was actually just going to make a note on JUANZI being down there in the bottom, 38 HP after that heavy commitment of items onto the Darius.
Yeah, I mean, we see him now, right? Now he has a Darius who is still level 1. JUANZI hasn't rolled at all. So I don't know. I really feel like this is not the way to play Space Pirate. Because generally, the things that made him so potent in the past games were that he was win streaking, he had a lot of HP. When you have a lot of HP, you can wait to hit GP, you don't need to hit it immediately. But now, assuming that JUANZI is looking to play Space Pirate, if he gets unlucky and he whiffs and he does not hit GP, he's going out 8th. So this is a rough spot. Additionally, because he chose not to make the Ionic Spark, and instead chose to go for Jewel Gauntlet, he has a pretty inconsistent Darius, who's not going to be really... inconsistent carry, and he doesn't have damage that's very reliable. So he needs a bit of luck now, I think, to get out of this position, but it might be that he has a lot of gold. Haven't seen.
A lot of gold and a lot of cushion for him in the competition in general, speaking when you're thinking about which players have the most pressure on them during this particular game, number 4 of 5 within this lobby. And we are going to get to check in and see how his comp has developed since the first time we saw it. As you said, that Darius commitment earlier, that Jewel Gauntlet was there right from the start.
Dude, this is so all in. He just went 8 at 4-1, and he just rolled down. So he's been hard loose streaking, making Pirate Gold. Kerwin, I don't know. This is like limit testing Space Pirates, right? I don't know. I don't have the balls to ever make this kind of play, even in ladder. So, what do you think of this? Is this a stylistic thing, or? I hear you loud and clear.
I hear you.
Yeah, 13 HP. So at this point, he needs to convert all that skill he showed into the last few games into luck. Because if he does not hit the GP at this point, there's not really... The problem with Space Pirate is there's not really a great pivot option, right? Like, you don't really have somewhere that you can easily transition. And I think this is it. This might be 13 damage. Yep, he's out. Hard eighth.
Was ready to take the headset off. Last time we saw him get up prematurely, it was a stylistic choice to do so when he was taking that #1 spot. This time he'll be relaxing a bit on the side, which does put him up to 25 points, which is the minimum number of points to qualify from the first lobby. But it's not like that's a cutoff number, right? That you hit it and you automatically go through. Should other people blow out of the water in these last 2 remaining games, you don't want to find yourself on the outskirts. Of course, there is a final 5th game after this to try and completely reverse the fortunes of the 8th place finish here.
Yeah, I think it just shows you what can
ALPHAGO.
happen. Like, oh, go ahead.
Nope, you.
Okay, sorry.
You go. Now you go.
Okay, no, you. Okay, I'll go. So I was just saying, it just shows you how you sort of do have to read the situation that you're in, and you can't really force a comp. Particularly one like Space Pirates like that, when you don't have an ideal opener for it. I think he baited himself a little bit off of his super successful game with it before, but I think the circumstances were different. I think the Galaxy was even different. And you know, when you commit something like a Jeweled Gauntlet, it's not particularly versatile, so it doesn't leave you with many outs. But I'm sure he'll recover next game. He has a huge cushion to work with, so I don't think he's worried about going out bot 4. But yeah, it just shows you that no matter how good you are at the game, you still got to respect the rules.
Yeah, and I have a feeling he's not too worried either. I just would kind of want to know what his thought process was there, right? Because we were looking at the board, and you even said that looked, in your opinion, like a mistake, and it didn't seem like there was any major indication that he should be going in that direction as he did previously, being how different the conditions were. But decided to commit to it. It didn't work out. I doubt he'll repeat that mistake again in the next time around. And he does still have another China representative still in this lobby, ALPHAGO at 50, but we are riding along with double 61 this time. Star Guardian, a couple of the Syndras have been built, it looks like, to the 2-star for some of the players in this lobby. And what do you make of what you're seeing on this board, Primal? Kind of our first check-in here with Double in a while.
I think Double looks pretty good. His items on Nico are awesome. He has okay items in Syndra. That'll be the only thing I'm concerned about. Like, he really wants a blue buff here, ideally a damage item. So it might be that glove turns into a Jeweled Gauntlet if you can get a single rod. And then him hitting a tier, he's just relying on luck at this point. But definitely much stronger showing than he's had the prior few games. And at the end of the day, I would say Nico is probably a bit more important than Syndra anyway. Because at the end of the day, you can hit Xerath to sort of top off your damage. Janna can just hard carry your team through utility and sort of ancillary damage. So if I'm Double, I'm feeling pretty good right now, but he does need some good items to put him over the top, and look at it first.
And Nico saying, I am here to absorb the pressure, to lock down CC, let Syndra and everyone else do whatever the heck they want to do across here. So he doesn't have to worry about those tanky items anymore. But you're right, hoping to build into a blue buff and start getting some of the power behind Syndra. Having the GA to keep her alive to cast more frequently is great, but you do want those casts to hit as hard as possible. It's also nice to have the Soraka, what you're always looking for, to have that sustain as well. And facing off against a mech composition that Panda's running.
Yeah, and Panda's running mech with Xerath backline, which is definitely unique. You know, a lot of players wonder why people play Victor as the sorcerer in mech, and it's pretty much because Victor is way more consistent to hit 2-star because he's a 4-cost. It's very hard to get a Xerath too. And B, Victor works super well with pretty much just a Morellos, because Victor's primary purpose there is just to spread Morellos on as many of the enemy team as possible. So Xerath, he might have just gone for Xerath because he only had a Rage Blade in terms of backline items, which is much better on Xerath, and he might not have hit the Victor too. So it's a good adaptation, but you generally want the Victor instead.
I do believe we have Crowan back with us here on the cast. We got you, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, welcome
should
back.
be all good to go now. Thank you very much. Yeah, double 61, still win streaking for a while now. We were just talking about, you know, he needs those other items like that blue buff to be able to stabilize here, but it seems as though double quite has picked up the pace and gets that blue buff, that blue sentinel right there. Good RNG, feels good, man.
Just hits.
Yeah, love to see it.
You love to see it. And I think the great thing about Double's position is he actually doesn't even need to roll at 8, right? He already has Nico 2, he has Cinder 2, he has Janna in there. So he can go straight to 9, look for Janna 2, look for Xerath, and you know, just put a cap on the game. So Double's in a really strong position. And we haven't seen Star Guardians win any lobbies, but I think if there were any position to win from, it would be this. Because to speak about the lack of Gunblade on Syndra, he can just pick up any AP item on Carousel and make up for the lack of Gunblade. But Socks, it looks like something went wrong here because he hit blue buff and hit Morellos on Teemo, but he is looking at a bot 2. Not sure what happened here.
Oh, no. Yeah, last time we checked in with him, he was still looking for the Jhin. This time he had the Jhin with the last Whisper that he transferred over from the Ashe and did manage to get the IE, but it does feel like he did take a lot of damage up to that point. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a very recent thing to happen, being that he was on a 5-round loss streak prior to this. Finally starting to get in a position, but 16 HP isn't that much to lean on when you're here at the bottom of the lobby.
Yeah, man, I wonder how this game went for Socks here, because rolling that Teemo 2 on stage 2, you would never think that a player like that is going to be in this position that Socks is here. So definitely took a long time, I would assume, to get those items online. Maybe even it took a long time to get those Astros online here. But this is the point where Socks is spiking. There is still only a Wukong 1 and a Jhin 1, so he's not as strong as he would like. But Lulu 2 is still pretty good. Gets a couple of Mystic from there. Has a couple of Chronos. You know, this is the standard competent synergies. Is it enough for Socks, though, to stabilize?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because we're getting pretty late into the game at this point. You generally want that front line. I think he's having a big front line issue right now. When you're playing 4 Sniper and 2 Mystic, and you have a Wukong 1, who's standing in between you and the Teemo? Sorry, between the Teemo and the enemy. So I think at this point it's going to be hard to win streak to first. Certainly looking at a top 4 finish probably at best. But it might have been that Socks didn't roll early enough to stabilize and might have played a little bit greedily to get down to this point.
Yeah, and you can't really roll because you didn't really have money. Taking those 3 Teemos early is going to put a little dent in your econ there.
And he does have to get top 4 pretty much to have any chance of moving on to tomorrow. And I think the fact that he was focused so much on the Teemo, being excited about getting that 2-star early, spending that money, you would hope that you would get some more upfront value from it. But when we were watching those rounds, he was still losing narrowly in a way that wouldn't encourage you to pivot off of it, because you hope that you're able to kind of close that gap soon. But it doesn't look like that gap was closed very quickly. And now sitting on this last bit of HP, still slamming hard.
I'm worried. Doubles comp is pretty strong here.
Yeah. Let's see. No.
Oh, the Ashe Arrow missed?
Oh, no. Ashe, come on. This Ashe.
Oh,
That
the
Ashe hates America.
anti-synergy there. Yeah. The Lulu Poly.
the polymorph.
Oh man, the Lulu Poly made the unit bounce around, so the Ashe Arrow missed. That's not some mechanics you want to see for your TFT team there.
We need to look into their PayPal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's win trading. I think someone's anti-America, but yeah, I think to Krone's point earlier, here's the thing with Teemo too, it's not like an automatic win because Teemo 2, he kind of has he's a needy unit, right? Like he needs Astro online to sort of do multiple ults. He needs blue buff to make use of the small mana pool that you get when you hit Astro. And when we last left Sox, he didn't have Astro buff in, even though he had Nautilus, so he didn't hit a Bard. And he didn't have blue buff either, so it might have been that he just continued to lose because he didn't have either the synergy or the item that could help him stabilize, and maybe waited too long to roll, which is certainly an understandable play when you feel like you just should be strong. But I think everyone knows in TFT, sometimes you feel like you should be strong, but you're missing one just like key synergy that puts you over the top, and it can be super frustrating.
Yep.
A lot of small kind of minor things that have contributed in an attempt to salvage that, right? You've got 4 Sniper with this Kaylin. You're waiting for your Jhin to get a little more online, hoping that damage output will be enough.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's looking
Is
close.
this it?
Get the chance, though.
Is this it?
No.
No.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
Jhin,
no.
please.
No.
Oh no.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
he survived. He survived.
He survived.
He survived to 2
He's alive.
HP.
He's gonna hit
Yeah,
Jhin 2
he's
right
like-
now.
You close your eyes. You couldn't bear to look.
Do you even make this thresh?
On the edge of my seat.
I don't think you even
Yeah,
make
you
this
saw the
thresh.
Soraka make the thresh here.
Yeah? What is he pulling
I
in?
think you do. I mean, you're only pulling in a Jhin 1, right? But still, just the base stat line of having, we were talking about earlier, you need the front line to be able to, be that wall between your Jhin, your Teemo, and the enemy there. The Wukong 2 was hit, so that's a little bit better. And then the Thresh 2, just base HP increase, is kind of necessary. These fights are going to be going so fast at this point in the game, they're really only going to be able to, drag 1 unit in, maybe 2. But Jhin 1's kind of all you got working for you right now. Like, this Syndra is going to start bursting units, the fight's going to be really fast.
Yeah, and I guess when you're at 2 HP, you can't afford to be picky. But yeah, it looks like Sox is going to win this fight. Very close, but I do think he's got it. So he survives to fight another day, get some more econ, hopefully hit that Jhin 2, maybe get some more impactful units on the bench. So he could sneak a top 4. It's close, though. It's close, but he's a very clutch player. So he can do it. And QSS, not exactly what you want to see, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. You could toss that on Jhin or Teemo and just corner them.
Yeah, and that's when it comes to Jhin or some, just making sure that they can stay a bit protected. I love seeing these really close fights when he's at 2 HP, because even in that one, it seemed like it was hinging a lot on a really good knock up the Wukong moving forward that set up some good follow-up damage from the back line to keep him in it. So hoping those moments still come true to him after this.
Well, a
So
really
let's see who he
positive
ends up putting
development.
this on.
Yeah, a really positive development here is he does have the Urgot. He wants that Karma because Karma's really, really good with Teemo. Allows Teemo to get a lot more cast. So I think he's got to find a way to play this Karma. I'm not sure how. Maybe he draw. I actually don't know. I guess he can't really fit it, can he? I guess he's just looking to
unless
pull
you're
stuff off the
dropping.
bench.
Unless you're dropping the 2 snipers, you can't really fit it in at this point reliably, or dropping a Thresh, but it's a Thresh 2, so you're not going to want to drop that at that point.
Yeah, so I guess you just
Facing
play it off
off
the
against
bench.
double 61.
Oh, man.
Every round is so stressful when you're at 2
It's very
HP, since
stressful.
we're following along with him, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's
Yeah,
especially
that's
stressful
hitting hard.
versus
The GA ends
Syndra.
up getting
Oh,
caught.
no, Ash again? What are you doing?
But it's okay. It's okay,
Okay,
though.
we're good. We're good. Sorry, I'm
We
getting a little
Gucci.
too invested.
Someone really
No,
is
that's-
PayPaling this Ash. Holy man.
For real, though. I mean, you can't
yeah.
help but get more invested when you're kind of following along from that perspective. And I feel like I'm not exactly sure what's going on CUPIDITAS' side, but he's been streaking, and so maybe potentially happy for MISMATCHEDSOCKS that he didn't have to go into that. But that Syndra was looking scary for a moment.
Yeah. And we should note, this is a really close lobby in terms of standings, because JUANZI dominated so hard, as well as ALPHAGO. JUANZI is like way ahead of everyone else, and then everyone, I think, 2nd through 6 is separated by 2 points. So not top 4ing here is not necessarily the end of the world, but there's definitely a lot of pressure at this point. In every single fight, you're looking, okay, is Syndra's just going to instantly delete my Teemo, or do I sneak in there? It looks like he gets a 5th, which I think is an okay result. Kind of disappointing considering how strong his start was, though.
Man, I totally forgot JUANZI ended up getting 8th in this one too, because it feels like forever ago. And it might open up some opportunities though, because MISMATCHEDSOCKS did just go out in 5th place, but technically based on the way everyone is going out right now, he's still in that middle portion. So we'll have to see how these kind of top 3 end up finishing between Double and the rest.
Yeah, it's a little bit worse for MISMATCHEDSOCKS that JUANZI actually went 8th here, because you want the person who's already clearly in 1st to keep on winning there. This is going to be a tight race for sure, with the standings being so close. ALPHAGO here gets destroyed by KC Double's Star Guardian composition there, so it's just KC Double versus SLOOPER.
Yeah, and we finally are seeing Star Guardians pop off. We are. Yeah.
We had to wait all day. But
yeah, it's nice to see some new names in the top 2, and you know, this is a weird matchup, right? I think I mentioned it earlier, but because of the way Syndra orbs work, you know, sometimes you actually want your Syndra to cast later. You don't really have control over that, unless you're gonna go straight into a Shroud, which is kind of a grief. I don't know, Crone, when you're in a mirror matchup like this, what's the big thing to look out for to try to increase your chances of winning?
Man, this mirror match in specific is so, like, awkward, because I don't think there is much room to do things with positioning. I think the one thing that you can do, which we see Double 61 here do, in fact, is place the Lulu towards the front. It's tier 2'd, it's going to be able to take damage, going to be able to get those polys out, and hopefully the polys land on good units. Ooh, and it does there. It doesn't poly the Janna, of course, because she has the QSS. Yeah, but that's maybe a Lulu diff here?
Yeah, I mean, that other Lulu got slammed pretty early.
Nope.
Couldn't poly anyone, I don't think, but it doesn't matter when the hard hit comes in. 3 HP for Double right now.
And, you know, it's, as Crow was saying, go ahead, Kron.
Oh, I was just going to say, the Lulu diff there actually isn't enough versus the RNG of the Syndras. Like, even having the GA as to not get one-shot didn't matter there. It's just maybe the Gunblade on the other side there from SLOOPER is going to be more effectively valuable than GA. Even SLOOPER now hitting Lulu 2 of his own. It just comes down to Jannas, Syndras, and Lulu polys, I guess. The main things, at least.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just got to call it like it is. It's kind of a highly RNG dependent matchup. Unfortunately, it's one of the few very RNG dependent matchups I think in the game. But yeah, the weird thing is because the Syndra has a GA, it's actually can not be super great sometimes, because I'd actually rather have my Syndra just have more uptime and never have to go through that long revive animation before she spawns, because while one Syndra is spending all that time reviving, the other Syndra might just one-shot, but it just got completely reversed, and now I look dumb, and now this Syndra is smurfing out the other Syndra, so flip a coin, I guess, and we'll see who wins.
That's why I'm so hesitant to call these mirror matchups between Star Guardians here, because it's actually just whatever Syndra decides to target. You actually like can't make accurate predictions here. It kind of... While TFT does come down to a lot of nuances of positioning and stuff, this is one matchup where that just actually doesn't matter as much. Of course, SLOOPER is rolling down for Nico 3. Even right now on the Rift Herald round, probably wants to hit it before he's denied more by KC Double, because KC Double does have 6 Nikos there. So both players theoretically could get Nico 3. It's unlikely that both will, but SLOOPER is very close.
Yeah.
And all right, SLOOPER and Double 61 with 15 and 11 points respectively, so a bit tight for them when trying to fight for those top spots.
For sure. So, there's a Nico 3. Okay, if there's anything that can make a difference, that's it. Unfortunately, can't get the Warmogs there. That's a little bit of a hover of frustration. I think he realized if he had actually put the Warmogs on the Nico on the bench, put that Nico in and then made Nico, there was a chance to make... I said Nico a lot there. There was a chance to put Warmogs on the Nico 3.
There's lots of Nikos.
Yeah, the last Nico. So that's actually a small oversight that could end up making the difference. We'll see if it matters here. So watch the Syndras here, and let's see who targets whom.
Which Syndra will come out on top? The last battle?
Oh, one shot. Again.
Oh.
What's going on? Okay, double win.
The NATOs.
The moment he one-shot that Syndra, it was over. It was over. But well played by Double. Well played.
Yeah. Double was struggling a little bit in the lobbies earlier. I believe it was a like 4th, 6th, and 5th finish. So needing kind of these high placements to put himself in the best position heading into that last game. We got to see the Star Guardians on both sides. Crowan, I know that you said it was kind of stressful trying to make the calls in those situations. Just what do you think as far as the fun, entertaining aspect of basically waiting for that coin flip to happen when it comes to the Syndras?
I mean, that's what it is. It's kind of just fun, entertaining, exciting. You could just kind of take a step back and just see what happens there. It was 2 fights in a row where Casey doubles Syndra, targeted Slooper's Syndra, one-shot it, and the fight was kind of basically over from there. So that's kind of how the cookie crumbles at some point.
Yeah, I want to relive that crumbling cookie in game number 4 because it was intense, Primal. I mean, right from the start, some unexpected finishes. JUANZI, hard committing, ended up going out.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a play that just gave him some. At least he went out early enough that he had some time to reflect and cool off. I think it's the benefit of just taking a hard 8 that early. But yeah, it looks like across the rest of the lobby, we're seeing some interesting adaptations. We saw a mech there from Panda that had Zizirot portal, which you don't really see on mech very often. It's not best in slot, but if you put a Zizirot portal on mech, I believe you get basically 2 activations of it. Once when the mech dies and once when the rumble dies. I'm not sure. I'm sure in Twitch chat's gonna be like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. But yeah, just creative itemization, working with what you're given. I think that's sort of the story of the day. Just play what you're given. Try not to hard force when it comes to either items or comps. And then this fight is just fireworks.
Knock up and knock up and knock up to end things out. Really a strong performance from the Star Guardian composition. Some snipers were run and they just narrowly weren't really able to hang with the top dogs top 3. I believe I saw, Vayne, some cybernetics were able to make it into top 4, but Double 61 really made a splash in his qualification to get here and now getting that first place finish in game number 4. I am going to dip out and relax and watch this last game, though. Y'all are the ones that get to be stressed to see who ends up coming out on top.
Nope, I'm out of here too.
He's sticking around here. Oh,
good luck.
I'm
Ron.
the solo person sticking around. I think Doa and Becca will be joining me. But taking a look at those standings there, yeah, Doa and Becca, how do you feel about this? This is super close right now, going into game number 5. A very stressful situation for all these players.
Yeah,
really
a lot of cool stuff across the board. Yeah, I'm sad I missed the Big Bang game, but maybe we'll get another one soon. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, I've got the stats open to my other monitor here. We once again have multiple people tied at 19 points. I have tried to do the math because I wasn't casting that last one, so I tried to do the math, and I think there's like a weird, crazy scenario where Sox might still make it if he gets first, and a lot of the top 4 people get like the bottom 4 slots, but it ain't looking good.
There has to be some kind of cosmic karma. I mean, we're on Galaxies, Cosmos, Karma. Sox did so well in the qualifiers. I really hope he makes it to the second day. I'm desperate. I need NA to make it out. That's all.
It would be weird. But either way, we know we're gonna have some good players make it to day 2. So ultimately, I just want to see the best games that we can see. Hey, what do you know? Ask and you shall receive.
Yes.
It is the Big Bang once more for the final game of the day.
Big Bang with Mortdog first carousel, yes.
All rods. All right, here we go.
Man, I think it's actually a bit more feasible for Sox actually to be able to qualify if specifically Double 61 and CUPIDITAS both bought 4. Because then Sox would be slotted into that 4th slot. But either way, a lot of different things can happen during this game. I'm personally excited to cast another Big Bang Galaxy game. I know Becca, it was a lot we did earlier.
Okay, I honestly wanted to be kind of more professional in this cast, and then we had to cast the Big Bang Galaxy, and I had no idea what was going on. It was hard to keep up with. There's too much going on.
Well, basically, it seems like just the challenge of this Galaxy is just all of the resources that you're given, right? Because you're given the extra slot on your team after 3-1, you're given the extra roll each turn, and you're given a lot more gold and items and random champions from all the monsters. So it's just a matter of like, can you, this is like the ultimate like wealth management simulator, right? Where it's like, you're suddenly rich. Can you handle it? Or are you just going to go broke again? You've won the lottery, but can you handle it,
Yeah. But everyone's winning the lottery at the same time as you are.
That's true. But it's like maybe if you have like a $1 million scratch off ticket with like a couple coworkers and you split it, like one person's gonna go buy like a boat and blow it all on like vacations in Vegas or something. Someone else is gonna invest it, and like where are those people gonna be in 2 years? You know.
You know what's
That's
bad?
the
I think
difference between
NA
first and eighth year.
are the people blowing it in Vegas.
No comment.
Oh no. Oh man, very
Alright,
interesting.
we need
I
some
get
help.
Yeah, I get stressed out personally when I'm on trade sector because there's a lot of early game decisions that you need to make. And I've just been observing KC Double's shops here. Had the opportunity to get a Leona 2, passed up on that. Had the opportunity to get a Kog'Maw to maybe go Battlecast, but passed up on that as well. Granted, the items aren't going to be... Actually, they're kind of okay for Battlecast, to be completely honest. You have Ionic Spark for the Alawi. You have half of a red buff with that belt. But KC Double not choosing to go that route. I am curious, based off of these items, Becca, what direction do you think that KC Double might go here? Well, I guess we see it here.
Yeah,
though.
it is half of a red buff, but it's also a Morella, and he did get the early super lucky cast. So he could go Battlecast, but I feel like... I don't know. Would you risk it on a Battlecast comp just because... I don't know if in like the late game without the 8 battle cast you can win, and he is kind of in that like middle position where he needs to do really well here to make it into the next day.
Well, so here's the question then: do you maybe try to go with Vanguard Mystic, because it's not a comp that's going to get you a lot of firsts, it seems like right now, but it is a comp that if you play it well, if you position it well, if you hit what you need to hit, it's still a fairly solid top 4 comp. So maybe just play it safe. You know, you're at 19 points if you're double 61, and if you come away from this with another like 5 points, 6 points, like you've got a good shot at making top 4.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you are definitely thinking about going for the consistent safe play with where he's at. It is really hard for Sox to upset him and some of the other plays to upset him. So I think I would go for the safe play. What would you go for, Crowan?
I think it's actually a weird spot here because you can still go for the safe play, but also simultaneously not qualify for tomorrow. Just based off of the point breakdowns right now, Double is at that awkward middle spot to where if you get, say like a third or a second or something, it's still, I think... Oh, no, actually, if you get that at this point, it would be good enough because this is, this is game number 5. For some reason thinking that there's 2 more games. So maybe it is safer with that in mind to go for that, just trying the top 4 here.
So if we look at Group 1, 25 points was the cutoff. So like the mid-20s are like generally what you're going to want to shoot for if you want to get to day 2, it looks like. So you're thinking like a 3rd place would get you 6 points, 5th place would get you 5 points. Like that's 25, that's 24, like, so you're definitely on the edge, but you're right there. So it's an awkward spot to be in because like you don't want to go like 8th for sure. So it's hard to go for like those first place comps and play risky. I'd put my chips in with just playing standard, but we'll see what he decides. But we're gonna look at JUANZI right now, who still is in the lead despite a fast 8 last game. Space Pirates giveth and Space Pirates take it away apparently.
He also has the Jace in the shop at 2-3.
Right.
While he's trying to go Space Pirates again. He's going to make enough gold for it.
The Space Pirates chose me is what he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, won't win this round, so he'll have to sell in order to buy that Jace if that's going to be the route there. Was already hovering it in the shop, so yeah, it does just that. Sells the Jarvan, picks up the Jace. We know JUANZI likes Space Pirates, so it's no surprise there.
The pirate life chose me. That's right. Type it in chat.
I think in a Galaxy like Big Bang, you can go big, especially when you have as much leeway as JUANZI does.
Yeah, I agree.
It does suck for people like in the middle, like Double and Sox and Cupid, to have to play safer on such a go big or go home kind of Galaxy.
I think Sox needs to go big, or he is going to be going home. He
That's true.
basically needs
You're
it
right.
first. Yeah.
Actually, you're right. This is the best Galaxy to do it on.
With a first, Sox could get up to 24, which is still like right on the edge. So I think he needs first, or he doesn't have a chance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
gonna be
awkward
tough.
point number where he's not guaranteed, but we'll see. Checking out Socks's point of view here, he slams the RFC, that rapid fire
go.
cannon. I think we're gonna see some Blade Masters if that's any
Are we
indication.
slash broing?
Yes, we are.
The blade chose me. Has it chosen Socks?
Yeah, so last game I was listening in to some of the other TFT co-streams, and they were talking about how Socks was so uncomfortable playing Astro Snipers because he had prepared like 1 or 2 comps to play, and they were worried that that was going to be his downfall, and admittedly it happened to be in the last game where he high-rolled a Teemo 2 and he wasn't comfortable playing it.
Yeah.
But now I think he's in his comfort zone, and I'm really excited to see what he can pull out.
Definitely. I think along that point as well, it's very interesting because assuming that, other information that I got from Socks was correct, he said that he did very much like to play flexible on ladder, but for tournaments did like to play a couple of comps. But Socks is a very strong player overall. I feel as though he should be able to, pivot and be a little bit flexible, even, disregarding the last couple of weeks or week or so of prep for this tournament. It's a comp that's been meta. You're obviously seeing it played every single game. You might not know the specific nuances, but with rolling in Teemo 2, perhaps there was some other unluckiness there and getting the Astros and the blue buff online and stuff. But either way, Socks here is going to be going back to comfort, so hopefully that'll be what works for him.
I mean, sometimes those situations that just look amazing early in the game end up being kind of baits, right? Where it's like, you hit the Teemo 2, and that's great. Like, I can't imagine a scenario where you don't try to build around the Teemo 2, right? But then he doesn't find the Bard, he doesn't find the Gnar for like a really long time, and without the Astro buff, it's just not going to be good. So I think it was a little bit of misfortune there, but because you can't blame him for not playing around for wanting to play around a Teemo 2 at like what 3-3 it was or something. Who wouldn't, right? But it happens. All right, finds a Shen. The Shen 2 would be really big here too if he can find that. That's such a nice little early game spike to kind of keep you stable.
Yeah, having that for your front line is going to be super, super good. Does need to find that Yi eventually. It is towards the bottom of the lobby right now, and I know MISMATCHEDSOCKS is comfortable with taking losses with this composition. It's what you have to do a lot of the time before you really go online. So again, Socks is in his element here. It's just that things need to go his favor when he goes to the point where he's rolling down.
Oh, I was kind of hoping that would be a spatula for his sake because he could make the Blade Master spat with that sword.
Oh, gets
Yeah,
the
the golden-
glove.
All right.
The golden box into nothing, or gold. But the Nico's nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least the Nico can, in an emergency, help him hit like a 3-star that he really needs, possibly.
it's like a nice
so there's
shop
that.
over there with the Zed and the Yasuo.
Yeah.
Has the option to make either a Death Cap or a Jeweled Gauntlet, assuming he is going for that Yi. What do you both prefer when it comes to that itemization choice? Is it Death Cap or is it Jeweled Gauntlet for the Master Yi?
I always prefer Death Cap because I don't like the RNG of Jeweled Gauntlet, but I do know Jeweled Gauntlet's a lot easier to build, easier to make. Yeah.
I agree. If I had to choose, I would pick Death Cap every time because it's just straight stat increases. You know what you're getting. It's always going to be good. Where, like Becca said, with Jewel Gauntlet, it can be very strong, but you've got that little element of variance that the more you can reduce the variance in your game, the better, Want to be as consistent as possible. That said, Jewel Gauntlet is still a great item for Master Yi. It's just, you probably wouldn't want to pick it over a Death Cap, I think.
Yeah. From what we can see SLOOPER has like the quintessential easy flexible items. He has the Spark and he has the GA, which you fit into any comp comfortably. So he's just looking really good. He has a lot of health, good gold, good items.
And Redemption as well, also flexible.
Yeah. Looks like he can play anything he wants from here.
I mean, you look at this and you're like, all right, well, honestly, it's so flexible. I've been playing a lot of cybernetics lately, so I look at this and I think cybernetics. But at the same time, honestly, there's so many comps that benefit from these items. Like, they're just such good generic items.
It looks like the units, though, are telling him to go Rebels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a couple cybernetics in there, but the 2 stars definitely say Rebels, don't they?
Yeah. Especially with the Rumble as well, and having the GA Ionic Spark. Those are kind of like your staple, basic GP items. Will need items for the Jinx, though, if you do go Rebels later on. Has a belt, so maybe that turns into a red buff. But at least for now, the Z2 is actually a really good early game carry. And then the Demolitionist as well. Rumble's a super, super good early game unit. And we kind of see that, see that right now with his HP, 96 on top of the lobby. It's, not an amazing composition, but it's still good enough to be at the top of this game.
Yeah,
when I look at this board too, sorry, Becca. When I look at this board too, I think late game, right? And if we're talking about the GP, having that Nico helping you hit the GP too early is the difference between, like a top 2 and a top 4, right? So if he's patient and he keeps going that Rebels route, he's got a lot of tools to produce a very strong late game board.
Yeah, I think I really liked that change when they first buffed all the individual mech pilot units. Because before you never felt very good playing just a solo Annie or a solo Rumble, but now solo Annie, solo Rumble feels so good. They're viable frontliners while you're trying to transition, and you don't always have to go the mech route. So I like that they added the flexibility by buffing those units.
Something interesting here. CUPIDITAS is on 3-3 with only 10 gold there, as we see on the little gold bench there. So maybe rolled it down to try to find a Syndra 2 to stabilize, or Nico 2, but only has, I believe, a 1-star of both of those.
Oh, did he have a pair
a
of
little
both?
bit punished there. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a Nico on the board there, but at least has a pair of Syndras.
Yeah, that can be a little bit rough. That's I think that's what I would call a bait too, right? Where it's like, I'm level 6, so I've got the 30% chance instead of 35, but I know I'll hit one if I just roll down, and then you're broke.
Ooh, 4 spats here. That's really good for Socks, making sure you can get that BM spat for the Zed.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, you always feel good when you see
even
the spatula.
Yeah,
That sucks.
even gets it on a Riven there, so going to be able to pop that off for free, keep Riven in as for that Chrono buff. We know he already had a Shen, so it is still, a little bit better there. Things going Sox's way, and he needs things to go his way right now, being on 47 HP at the bottom of the lobby.
Yeah, he really needs this. Let's see what Slooper decides to do here. He's got, you could make Protector Spat too. We'll check back in with him later, though. Checking back in with the hope for NA MISMATCHEDSOCKS. And he does have that Zed Blade Master, like we talked about. Able to use the Riven as well, like you mentioned, Crowan, to keep the Chrono buff going. And so what he really needs now is a Master Yi, and then things are going to be better, theoretically.
He has everything but the Yi.
Yeah.
He does have the Chrono Blade Masters. He has everything. He actually put the units, put the items on the Fizz to hold, but it's it's looking a little rough. He needs to find that Yi soon.
It's a little awkward putting the items on the Fizz, because Fizz is the Infiltrator that you want for the Infiltrator buff, giving it over to Zed, so we'll have to refine that unit later. But even more importantly, just needs to find that Master Yi first. Like level 7, 30 gold, it's going to be awkward to roll down, lower than, say, 30, because you're going to destroy your econ that way, but does Sox think that this is enough on board right now? The 5 loss streak would say otherwise.
Yeah,
He's
and I
got
think he just had
40
to slam
HP
those
now.
items. Yeah, he just had to slam it on Fizz because he has to play his strongest board. He's just too low.
Yeah, I agree.
With 0 Yis, yeah.
Gotta do something.
He's unwilling to go below 40 gold, it seems. That's so worrying. I don't know. Sox is comfortable with this, though, so hopefully it works out.
I mean, with this build, you can get 20 HP or less and still come back and win a lobby, but you're definitely playing with fire at that point, especially in the late game. One bad round can just end it. And where you're in a position like Sox where you need first, I can't disagree with this line of play. He is going for first place because he knows that's what he needs.
Very true there, actually. I think that if he was a bit more, on the upper end of the standings, he could play a bit more, just a bit more reserved, not have to play as greedy, but needs to do that in this specific situation here. So
where is that Yi?
Is hiding.
It's crazy.
I mean, Yasuo 1, Zed 1, Malphite 1.
Right?
This is looking not so good for NA's hope.
Yep. He's pretty far away from any of those 3 stars, which is, of course, what you need to really make this build, work in the end.
Maybe we just hope for a comeback story from this point for MISMATCHEDSOCKS. You know, that'll cement his Faker of TFT story that much better.
Oh, he didn't really get Blade Master items either.
No Runeance is going to be rough. Okay, hit the Yi.
Yeah.
There we go. So the comp is technically online, but it's only 1 star still.
You know what you do here, honestly? You make your Riven like your secondary carry, I think.
Yeah.
I think you load up Riven with a bunch of items and you try to have her carry a little bit. It's less good without all the sorcerer buffs, but he's gonna go for the tanky Shen, and like this is okay too. But you could also go Aurelia. You could put like the GA on Aurelia, but I don't know. What do you like to use as your secondary carry when you're in a situation like this where things are kind of awkward and you know you need more than the Yi? What do you do? I go 2 different ways, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
I think if I were him, I'm not sure what Cronin's going to say, but I think I would put the GA and the Morello on the Fizz right now. Just make sure he casts, and I think it'll be good on the backline to stall them at least. What do you think, Cronin?
Yeah. I think that's a super good idea. That's a route that I actually hadn't quite considered. I was too busy thinking about the delegation of that Shroud to the Shen, and maybe theorizing a world where, say, an IE on the Aurelia could be viable as a secondary carry there.
Right.
But I think having a bit of tankiness for that front line and still items to delegate to other units like that Fizz, I think might be a little bit better to get that. I don't even know, because that gets like a top 4 in my mind, but maybe the Aurelia IE route is the thing that is going to be getting a first. It's a very awkward spot, and I'm not too sure what is 100% correct here.
I mean, you are right. The game where there was another 6-Blade Master, they did have items on the Aurelia as a secondary carry.
Right.
Ooh,
I mean,
Locket, though, here.
I don't know about the Locket. I just feel like that's not going to give you enough later in the game. You know,
Yeah,
that
feels like a top 4 play with the Locket.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Because he needs to play for top 1.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the major things with playing this build is knowing when and how to itemize secondary carries. One that I've been liking to use, which actually Socks himself suggested to me, was if you can get a Shiv, get a Shiv for Xayah too, because she can put a ton of damage with that. Obviously, that's not an option in this particular case, but that's one. In this particular case, I like itemizing the Aurelia or the Riven.
Yeah, I mean, I do know Socks is really good at playing this comp, so I want to put my faith in him. Maybe he thinks the Locket will delay long enough for you to pop off harder. Or just save him HP early while he's looking for the tier 3s or the upgrades.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. So, looking at this composition here from Double 61, it's kind of a smattering of a bunch of different synergies here. Double 61 playing very flexible, found a Jhin 2 there and put it in. It has no items right now though. I wonder if this is going to be sort of reminiscent of who was it, Voltairix from game number 1 in like that first Victor composition. I wonder if it's going to be more of the same kind of playstyle there.
Yeah, this is what you call the Noah's Ark comp, man. He's got 2 of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was one of the biggest changes that happened this set, was when they changed it so that when you sell your units, you only lose 1 gold for upgraded units. It's allowed so many of the more flexible players to really show how flexible they are without being punished so hard for trying to stay open to different routes. So if Double just wanted to sell that Yi, Jhin, I'm not sure what he's going to do. He could if he wanted to. But now it looks like snipers,
here,
yeah.
Oh, interesting. This is smooth though.
It was very smooth.
I think the
no
brawlers
tears,
are going to be able to. Yeah, not yet, I guess.
That's exactly the point I was going to bring up. There's no tears for the Teemo, no blue buff. There is the potential of a Celestial Spat for to get that synergy with the Ashe there. There's going to be a good Shroud placement there. Is the Jhin 2, RFC and Teemo 1 with Morello's enough?
I mean, at least he has Astro. Like, if you've got the Astro buff, like, you can see the Teemo is still firing out mushrooms pretty quickly. Yeah. The blue buff makes it really fast, but even without it, as long as you have Astro as a buff, you do okay. And this is actually a really good example of how important the Astra buff is. You compare this, that board looks very strong with just a Teemo 1. When you compared Socks's board from last game that had a Teemo 2 early but didn't have the Astra buff. So I think it just shows you just how much that trait matters if you're going to play something like this. So it's not ideal, but it's okay. I like this direction anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can see that JUANZI is in last again. Do you
is.
guys think he just doesn't care anymore and just wants to go for the YOLO big Space Pirates plays? Or do you think he's like trying to help his fellow countrymen get into the top 4?
I don't know. I mean, he's in the top 4 no matter what.
Yeah, he's
like,
definitely in.
JUANZI.
Yep.
So he doesn't really need to perform in this game at all. But it's hard to say. There's also something to be said, I think, for not giving your opponents any more information than you need to, you know? So if you know you're in, you can just kind of like meme your way through the other games and be like, LOL, I took 8th, you know, but then you kind of like deny them 2 games worth of information, right?
Yeah.
That is...
But he also has 2 fawns on his bench. Like, how are you so strong?
Wow.
Doa, I think that is a super valid strategy. The one concern that I have with that perspective, though, or at least if JUANZI holds that perspective, is game number 4, it wasn't, solidified that he'd be able to go 8th and still advance. Like, I think I actually mentioned earlier he could potentially, but there's no guarantee until you see how all the standings are after game number 4. Obviously, going to this game, he knows that is the case, so I think denying information is 100% a good and viable thing to do, especially when all these competition are going to be scouting you, seeing what you played, what you prefer, information to go into tomorrow with. So won't be surprised at this point.
Seems like he also just really likes Space Pirates, so he'll just prioritize that.
That gold box gave a Wukong and a Teemo.
Yup. I was just going to
yes,
say
it
this
did.
was the best gold box I've ever seen.
What?
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
A lot of items to
Wukong's
think
definitely
about,
going
too.
in.
Let's see. Oh, there's the other Teemo. Let's see what ALPHAGO is up to besides Teemo's in his shop that other people want. Looks like he is going cybernetics this game, but he does have that Blade Master vein as well. So interesting little adaptation here.
Yeah, this is the same thing we saw from earlier. The Fiora with the Zephyr and the Blitzcrank to pull in, and it's going to pull in the Victor here, so that's huge. This is such a good tech here that, North American players at least don't do at all, is keep the Blitzcrank in, but it's proving to be so valuable here. Isn't going to win this round, but just even still, the concept of it I'm really a fan of.
Yeah,
Yep.
I like it a lot too, because I think in NA people stop thinking about blitzes as much as long as there isn't a jinx in the lobby. But if you're keeping it in with cybers, I think in NA you could farm some elo, just catching people off guard.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Oh, JUANZI, does go 8th here.
Yeah, meanwhile, ADASTRA at 5 HP, so possibly soon to follow here. But yeah, JUANZI just hopping out ASAP. I guess it's time to take a nap. I mean, the thing is, right now in Asia, it's like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., depending on where you are time zone-wise. So these players have been playing since like 2 or 3 a.m. So I think there's a lot of really tired people on that side of the world, too.
Yeah, it is true.
So he's
But
probably
Socks is
already
also
hopped
on
in
a
bed at
streak
this
now.
point.
Socks is on
Yeah.
a streak. Hasn't
Yeah.
lost in a while.
KC Double is outfitted as Jin with some pretty good items here. RFC, IE, and now GA isn't quite enough to beat ALPHAGO there, though. Socks maintaining his win streak, though, has definitely hit that Master Yi. Because we are on Big Bang, he gets a lot of item components to put on multiple carries there, and even is leveled up to 9, as we see on the side there.
Meanwhile, ADASTRA, our representative from Turkey, is out in 7th, unfortunately, for him.
Yeah.
And so that is going to be the end to kind of a disappointing day for him. But hey, he made it this far, so that's impressive in its own right.
Definitely.
Yeah. So he did switch the Blitzcrank out. I've always thought that just because Blitzcrank doesn't synergize very well with Sniper Synergy, which is what people tend to play in cybers, I thought he just wouldn't be a good pick, but he did switch it out now. But he still wants to keep it on the bench, obviously, to catch the carries off guard. Because usually the units you place in the corner next to your carry tend to move out, so by the time the Thresh hooks in the Blitz will get the carry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, super good point there. And this lobby has kind of flipped itself on its head right now. MISMATCHEDSOCKS
Yeah.
is in first place.
What is happening? Let's go!
Wait, he's
He
8
needs
Blade
it.
Masters? Is he going 9? Oh no. I've watched MISMATCHEDSOCKS
no.
try to go for 9 Blade Masters before, and he instantly regretted it and said, I'm never doing that again.
Oh no.
Like that... I hope he just keeps 8 and actually doesn't go 9.
Please don't. I feel like
what can
I've
you
always
say?
regretted it every single time as well.
What do you get here? Because the thing is, the Star Guardian thing is a little bit tempting, because if you decide to just stick with 6 Blade Masters, you could make one of them a Star Guardian and then add a Janna like that to get true damage.
Yeah.
But decided to go with the Static Shiv instead.
Shiv's really nice here. I think putting it on the Echo is, or probably the, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be the Echo. It's super good
think
there. Has outfitted the Riven with 3 items. Well, the Riven's kind of like a support Riven here, holding the Chalice, the Locket, and the Zeke's Herald there. But still
Yeah.
going to be pretty effective, just stat wise as well for her.
He's just not going to hit Master Yi 3 though. So does that mean he's kind of committed to 9 Blade Masters? Committed to trying to find that?
No, I don't think so. Sox actually likes going this route while playing BMs. He's not always committed to going for Yi 3, but just fits in a bunch of good units at level 9, and that's what he has found success with while running Blade Masters recently.
Fair enough. Ooh, not this game though.
No.
Oh no.
Cast a curse a
oh
little
no,
bit,
cast a
swapping to
curse.
him,
No, no,
and-
no.
yeah.
Please swap
Okay,
away.
swap
Swap away, please.
He needs to win out now. It's a bit of a rough situation. If he can find that Zaya, he can go 9 Blade Masters. But finding a 1 cost, oh my gosh,
there it is.
That's it.
Don't do it.
That's 9 Blade Masters. The prophecy is
This
complete.
match sucks.
At
The
least he's
blade
going out
chose
with
him.
a bang. Sorry. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Even if he doesn't make it, it's going to be memorable. All the eggs are in the very sharp Blade Mastery basket, which doesn't sound like a good place for eggs, but hey, we're going to make it work.
MISMATCHEDSOCKS could live or die right now on 9 Blade Masters. This could be what brings him into the finals, or a moment that he will regret for so long.
Please.
This is crazy. It's a lot of attacks.
Yeah, kind of watching here, with bated breaths on how this match will go. Riven's still
I mean, the
alive, though, and
damage,
the
though,
E
the
is, but
damage.
it's just not enough.
The damage just wasn't very high, and Sox
Oh,
is
he's
at
alive.
3 HP. He's still alive, but that's the thing is without the Master Yi 3, it feels like the Blade Masters just don't do, as much damage. And he doesn't have the Runin's Hurricane either, so he's kind of missing a lot of damage on the Yi as well.
For sure. I think missing the Runans is a huge factor why it's not as strong. I also think in previous times where Sox has gone to level 9, he has been able to find multiple, tier 2 5-cost units. Like Echo
Right.
2 would Echo would be usually tier 2 right now. Would probably have like a Thresh 2 or I don't know, a Urgot 2 or something like that. But that lack of just strong unit presence here with the lack of Runans is really, really worrying.
Yeah, actually, who holds Scumblade best on this comp?
Aurelia? Probably.
The
Is
Fizz,
it just
right?
Master?
Fizz.
Yeah,
Isn't it
I was gonna say,
Fizz?
is it Master Yi? But like, no, it's probably Fizz. We'll see.
do you
I
make
think the
a-
blue buff goes on. Actually, I don't know. Is blue buff going to Aurelia or does it go on to the Fizz? Okay, Aurelia.
All right. I'm just wondering
Maybe
if there's a
Aurelia
way you
could
can
become a
make
disarm
Lulu a
bot.
Blade Master.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
Mystic. Okay. I'm thinking crazy things now.
Alright,
I do like
so he's
this.
pivoted out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not have kept 9 Blade Masters either.
I agree.
Okay.
Just 8. 8's enough. Oh, give Swordbreaker to Zed right before Zed blows up. Is this enough damage to survive? Enough damage to the enemy team to live? Double 61.
No.
Oh, GG. NA's
Rip.
hopes and dreams have died in 5th place.
Dang. You know,
Alrighty.
Sox made
Bummer.
a statement. 9 Blade Masters. You gotta respect it at a certain point. Like, I love the commitment, but unfortunately didn't work out for Sox there. But we have our top 4, and things are shaping up for the players that will move on to tomorrow.
Yep, that's right.
So SLOOPER really performed really well all day, right? I think
Oh,
in
yeah.
every single lobby, almost.
Yeah, he's at 22
just-
points. He's tied for number 2
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah. It's nice
Wow,
to see
triple
Brazil
locket.
showing up.
Triple Locket Aurelia for, or not Aurelia, Leona for ALPHAGO. So trying to push trying to push 2 Chinese players out of this group into the top 4.
Ooh.
Looking possible as Double 61 takes a hit there, and KC Double 61 is another one of those players that needs to have a really good game to have a chance to top 4, and he's at least top 3.
Yeah, I think he actually makes it. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I'm like pretty confident in saying that with this placement of at least top 3, he still makes it, and that's what I love to see. Talked about it a bit earlier. There's, you know, you've had 2 or 3 not great games, but you go into games 4 and 5, and you have scaled. You know, mentally, you've scaled in terms of, you know, being adjusted to the lobby, and you're just coming out with a bang here. I guess as I will repeat the same reference I was looking earlier.
Big one. Oh, Zephyr on the GP. All right, Slooper's not going to be happy to see that. How fast can the GP cast? Doesn't matter. Can Jin find a shot on that GP maybe?
Oh, that GP was not the best.
Not really, no. Kind of whiffed that one a little bit.
Oh, if
that's
it was a little bit better,
win.
it would have won.
Yeah.
Yeah, that GP could have changed the fight for sure.
Right.
Ooh. A spat here. Oh, that spat gives double a force of nature.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
That's huge. Is definitely gonna be looking at that. And wait, okay, grabs the rebel. Wait.
All right.
Oh no.
Okay.
Wait. He's not the rebel composition here.
Let
Was double scouting somebody else? Maybe no.
Let's find out. All right. So he has the ability to make a frozen heart on Karma. Huh.
Oh, it's grabbing it because that's the Jin. He's
Yeah,
chasing
the
Jin
Jin
3. It all makes sense now.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
I forgot he had
respect it.
that many Jins.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
hey, that's
if
a win
I'm
condition.
correct.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I'm correct, Doubles knows he's going to make it into day 2 already. So just chasing the Jin 3 for a little bit of extra fun there over the fawn.
Fair enough. ALPHAGO, Slooper, fighting it out with that sub 10 HP right now.
Yeah. ALPHAGO with a good shroud there on the GP to start that round off, as we see on the bottom of our screen.
Yep, okay.
Oh.
He's out.
Casey Double
that's
actually
it.
getting out in second.
Oh.
Yeah, that's game.
Yeah, that is the double kill. And so we'll have to see who won that one. I actually didn't even catch it. I think it was Alpha, but I don't quote me on that one. Sometimes with those double kills it gets a little bit confusing.
Yeah, no, definitely. But, you know, that game was so intense. Unfortunately, you know, for the NA Hope and Pride MISMATCHEDSOCKS, he did fall there, so don't believe that he'll be advancing into day 2. But regardless, we've still had some amazing competition here.
Yep. And, you know, when it comes down to it, that was just another fairly tight game. But we've been seeing a lot of interesting stuff today. I think my biggest surprise is how well Jin has been doing. And I think a lot of it is that we saw people start to prioritize GA on Jin again, just looking back over the course of the day as far as games goes. But I think people kind of forgot. Jin with GA, yeah, he might get popped early, but then he's going to go untouched and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think my biggest surprise today was still the Victor 3 game when Victor 3 lost to Shaco 2. That really threw me for a loop. I just thought Victor would destroy everything, but the positioning was king all day.
Yeah,
True.
for sure. Crone, what was your big takeaway? What did you learn today?
You know, there's been so much that happened today, but something that I did want to highlight from these past 5 games is that SLOOPER, you know, representing Brazil, doing very well today. I don't think came out as number 1 of the lobby, but was 1 point behind. I think it's ALPHAGO at 29 and SLOOPER at 28. But still, like, that is a performance that I wasn't quite sure how Brazil as a whole would perform going into today. But yeah, again, just thoroughly impressed by that performance.
Yeah, and it's great to see a representative from that region make it through. Brazil has such a big league scene, such a big esports scene in general, so that's neat to see. But let's send it over to Whitrock to break down the last couple of games here.
Some of what I believe are our top 4 players here. So first, let's talk a little bit about KC Double 61's Star Guardian game. This was a highly contested Star Guardian lobby, and we're starting here at stage 3-6. he's got a fairly tame build right now. His Syndra's 2-star, but just has a single tier. He does have good items on his Nico, and the importance here is that Double 61 understands just how strong this 4 protector board is, and that this is a great starting point to move him into a full Star Guardian build. And so he takes this 61 HP, note he's on stage 3-6, wins a pretty standard fight, and he's at the same HP on 5-3. What he did in between these two clips was just incrementally empower his board, very carefully understand exactly what his power level was, and mostly through levels rather than rolling for units, maintained strong power to give him a large health buffer into the end. There's obviously this very close fight against MISMATCHEDSOCKS as well, which keeps him alive. And so then he has just a very good game, basically. He maintains that lead, maintains that health total till the end of the game, has these like very explosive fights. We were talking a lot about the Syndra versus Syndra matchup here. Eventually he does lose this win streak, which is what's being highlighted here at 5-3. But honestly, he's very happy at that point. He's going to get a good placement. This is from the final game, and I want to talk about what SLOOPER did. So you see the first Nico's help there drops on 1-4. The second Nico's help drops on 3-7. The third Nico's help drops on 4-3. So now he's got 3 Nico's help. And in a lot of players' positions, they'd be looking at using that 3 Nico's help to 3-star either a 4 or 5 cost unit. SLOOPER understands that he doesn't need to do that. His entire goal in this lobby is with a middling finish, he's going to be able to make that top 4 of the entire lobby of the day and just move on to day 2. That's all he needs to do. So you see him using those Nico's help just to hit those basic upgrades. He hits the 2-star Gangplank, I believe, to use it on his Jinx there, but he just makes some basic 2-star units in order to maintain power in the lobby, keep his health total high, and it ends up paying off wonderfully. He, doesn't always win a lot of his combats from this point out, but he loses slowly. And often that's the goal in TFT, is to just not have your game go very wrong, but to maintain a good placement and land those top 4s and know how you're going to win, especially in a tournament setting like this. So we'll see one more clip here. This is when he finally does get eliminated. He's made it to top 3, and understandably his composition has not hit those really high peaks of power that the other players are hitting in this Big Bang Galaxy. But that's not important to him. A 3rd place finish he's going to be very happy with. So some solid understanding how to maintain your strength plays from some of these players.
Whitrock, thank you so much for, again, breaking down everything as we've gone throughout the day. But I do need to ask you, since the last question that I asked you during our last segment was, is JUANZI going to go for the 4-peat? And then he just ends 2 8th places? How do you go from 3 first-place wins to just dropping all the way to the bottom of the lobby? What's his weakness? What happened?
So, yeah, we have to talk about JUANZI's first, 8th, just a little bit. Looking back at some of his games from the first 3, although he gets first all 3 times, he shows some of his weaknesses. So we talked about his strengths, very good positioning, and had clean transitions in his game. But his item management hasn't been great, and he's not been playing flexibly. And that showed up in his 2 8th place games. There was some speculation of maybe he wasn't as focused or trying as hard in those final 2 games. But if you go look at those first 3, I think this player has some clear weaknesses that need to be resolved if he's going to be the Galaxies champion.
Yeah, you hear that, other competitors? He can be taken down. He can bleed, as we've seen from games 4 and game 5. But listen, we've now reached the end of the day. All the games are done and completed. So Whitrock, I do have to ask you, what are you most excited to see in the final day coming tomorrow?
I'm excited to see how these players adapt to a very different format. Tomorrow's games, for example, JUANZI, I think his play in these games was highly risky, but that might be the type of risks you need to take tomorrow once you get those points and need to get that first place. So adaptation to the format is what I'm looking out for the most.
Thank you very much, Galaxy Brain Whitrock, for joining us as the analyst today. But let's go ahead and get straight into the standings so we can find out who our final 4 players from the lobby is. And would you look at that? Moving on with the most amount of points, we have ALPHAGO with 29 points. Right behind him is SLOOPER. And of course, JUANZI and KC Double tying at 26 points. And I mean, look at this. 3 first place wins in a row and then 2 8th places. And he is still almost untouched in terms of points. So these are our final finalists. Moving on to tomorrow, day 2, the finals of the Teamfight Tactics Galaxies Championship. We have Voltaru, we have Shoemaker, Bobe, LevD, ALPHAGO, SLOOPER, JUANZI, and KC Double. That 16-year-old prodigy making it into the mix. I am personally incredibly excited for day 2. You know, we were just looking at the first ever TFT Global Championship winner right there. We just didn't know who it was yet. Just, you know, throwing it out there. We looked them in the eyes. We looked them in the eyes. Okay, so technically we're there. But Do,
except for Double 61, we didn't get to see him at all. He was just an icon.
Well, his avatar kind of, you know, looking through the eyes. Whatever.
I'm just being difficult. I'm sorry.
Do, I'm trying to ask you a question, okay? Now you shush and you let me get this through. Thank you very much. The casters were so polite, going, no you, no you. Well, now I'm in here, I'm hosting, I'm saying, you shush and let me freaking ask you this question. No, but Do, I'm just being mean to you. Today we saw so many dominant players from both lobbies. We had Voltarux, we had Shoemaker, and then of course JUANZI and ALPHAGO. So what do you make of this dominance, and are those 4 going to be the top contenders of our final 8?
I mean, it's hard to say. I can't wait to see the games tomorrow, but I go back to, and not just me, but a lot of people are saying coming into this, EU is a very strong region. All 3 of their representatives are getting through the top 8. While I would say we don't know what the strongest region is overall yet, EU is certainly making a case for it. Unfortunately for NA, they only had 1 representative. SOCKS wasn't able to quite get there. China looks like I almost hesitate to say strong region because they had some strong performances, but there were also like little odd decision things here and there. So I'm not totally sold yet. I'm very excited about Bobe from Korea getting through the top 8. He played awesome today. So a lot of questions going into tomorrow, but the one thing that is for sure is that EU is looking pretty strong.
Yeah, and Becca, this is, I think, the biggest question for you because I feel like we're emotionally aligned on this. What happened to NA, man? I mean, sure, we only had the 1 NA representative and the other one was Osh. But what happened to our boy?
Okay, we don't talk about it. The Blade did not choose us. We were not chosen. But okay, all I know is I'm rooting for Brazil. Let's go. I don't want all the TFT chats to be EU is greater than NA in every single thing. Please, no. Just, I'm okay with China, Korea, Brazil. Let's go. Like everyone but EU. Okay.
EU? Okay. Well,
except
got a
the
5
EU
out of 8
players are
chance
so
tomorrow.
good. Dude, they're too good. They're actually too good. I'm just rooting for the underdogs.
It's not fair at times. But Crowan, same question for you. I mean, or I guess I should say, who do you think is going to really be the pop-out star moving into this final group of 8 tacticians?
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it. The European dominance. I know it's, hard as an NA person to look at, but you really just can't ignore it. 3 out of 3 of Europeans' top players have all made it into the finals, so I think we're certainly going to see a strong performance out of them continue tomorrow. I, as well as Becca, though, do like rooting for the underdogs a little bit. I said it earlier. I'm impressed with SLOOPER's performance. I think that if there is an underdog story, SLOOPER can make it happen there.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at our day 2 format so you can know exactly how that is going to work. Because once again, our final 8 tacticians across the freaking world, people, are battling it out for that $200,000 prize pool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the format. This is the point breakdown. First place is going to pick up 10 points, second place 8 points, and so on and so forth. Now, here's where the rules get fun and different compared to today. The first person to take first place after having racked up at least 18 points is your TFT Galaxies Champion. That's how it works. You need to have 18 points, and then get first place, and that's how you lock in the title. Everyone get it? Any questions? Everyone understand? Questions from the class?
Think of it this way. Think of it like a quest, where the first step of the quest is to get 18 points. Once you've done that, you can go towards the second step of the quest, which is to get first place. And if you do that, you've completed the quest, and you are the Galaxies Champion.
Wonderful. Intergalactic mission for the week. Guys, as we, slowly close out this broadcast, any final thoughts from you? Favorite moments, or just did you have fun today? Becca, we could start with you.
I think all I have to say is, EU overlords, please have mercy. Please, mercy. EU, just chill for like one tournament, one game, man. EU, just fucking calm down. Listen.
All right, and Doa, from you.
All this caster bias, I don't know. Like we have to be impartial here, and we just got to respect skill, and right now it looks like EU's got it, and but Korea's still just gonna win everything because that's what Korea does. But EU looked pretty good getting all three there, so we'll see.
Crowan, before I ask you for your final, you shush, Korea boy. Crowan, before I ask you for your final thoughts, this is something that has been just spammed throughout Twitch chat all day, and I feel like I have to, do my duty as a host to ask this. How do you get your headset on, man?
Oh man, this question. I'm getting this question for years. My hair is hair. It's malleable, it moves, it's not a solid block, I just put it on, it makes a little dent, and hey, that's what happens. It's not a wig, it's real, by the way. Everyone, wondering out there.
I love it, Crowan. I apologize for the question, but I mean, come on, the people need to know. But final thoughts from you coming from today.
Oh man, there was so much exciting action from today, but I do want to narrow it down to just a couple of points. One, firstly, being though, tomorrow's format could end in 3 games. You know who got some pretty good placements out of 3 games today? JUANZI went first. If JUANZI is able to repeat that performance tomorrow, JUANZI could take home the title in just 3 games. However, that's not the only thing. Europe playing so strong, I think, is super exciting for European fans and players. But another minor region, or not minor region, but another region with only 1 slot coming to this tournament is Japan and Shoemaker. And I think Shoemaker played super, super well today. And so, I was thinking about the Brazil underdog story, but the Japan one I think is just as exciting. Only having 1 representative with Japan and Shoemaker. Let's see how far he goes. There's so much action. There's so much story going into tomorrow. I'm excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. 16 tacticians from across the world battled it out, and now only 8 remain. They're going to duke it out tomorrow for the TFT Galaxies Championship. I'm Ovly. We had Doa, Crowan, Becca, Primal, and Latigris here with us. We are going to be back tomorrow, so tune in then.
We were born from light before.